Chapter 1. The Heartbreak and the Secret. The smell of vanilla candles filled the small apartment as Alex Chen carefully arranged the dinner table for two. His hands trembled slightly as he placed the final rose petal around the homemade lasagna, Ryan's favorite dish. Tonight was going to change everything. Tonight, he would share the most incredible news of his life with the man he'd loved for 3 years. Alex stepped back to admire his work, then caught his reflection in the hallway mirror. At 28 years old, he still had the same bright eyes and warm smile that Ryan had fallen for during their college days. But something was different now. Something was growing inside him. Something miraculous, something that would complete the family he'd always dreamed of having. His phone buzzed with a message from Ryan saying he'd be home in 20 minutes. Alex's heart raced as he pulled the envelope from his jacket pocket. Inside were the ultrasound photos. The ones that would prove everything Ryan had worried about was wrong. The ones that showed their future, their baby, their miracle. The apartment they shared overlooked the busy downtown streets, a cozy 2-bedroom place filled with memories of happier times. Photographs lined the walls showing Alex and Ryan at the beach, at friends' weddings, during holidays with Ryan's wealthy family. But lately, those happy moments had become fewer and farther between. Ryan had been distant, working longer hours at his father's company, Brooks Enterprises. Whenever Alex brought up marriage or children, Ryan would change the subject or make excuses about timing and career goals. But tonight would be different. Tonight, Alex had proof that their dreams could come true. The door clicked open and Ryan walked in, his expensive suit slightly wrinkled from the long day. His dark hair was perfectly styled as always, and his sharp features showed the stress of managing his position as vice president at his father's technology company. He barely looked at the romantic setup before dropping his briefcase on the couch. "Hey," Ryan said flatly, loosening his tie. "What's all this?" Alex's smile wavered but didn't fade. "I made your favorite dinner. I thought we could have a special evening together. We need to talk about something important." Ryan's expression shifted to something between annoyance and suspicion. "Alex, if this is about the marriage thing again, I've told you I'm not ready. My father is about to retire and I'm next in line to run the entire company. I can't think about wedding planning right now." "It's not about that," Alex said softly, moving closer. "Please, just sit down. Have dinner with me. This is good news, I promise." Something in Alex's voice must have convinced him because Ryan sighed and sat down at the table. They ate in uncomfortable silence for several minutes, with Ryan scrolling through his phone between bites. Alex's carefully prepared meal might as well have been cardboard for all the attention Ryan paid to it. Finally, Alex couldn't wait any longer. He pulled out the envelope with shaking hands and slid it across the table. "I have something to show you, something wonderful." Ryan set down his phone and opened the envelope, pulling out the ultrasound images. His face went pale as he stared at the black and white photos, his eyes scanning the medical information printed at the top. "What is this?" Ryan's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm pregnant," Alex said, tears of joy streaming down his face. "I know we never talked about it seriously, but I signed up for that fertility program 6 months ago, the one that helps male couples have biological children. I wanted to surprise you. Ryan, we're going to have a baby. We're going to be fathers." The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan's hands gripped the ultrasound photos so tightly they began to crinkle. His face transformed from shock to something darker, something Alex had never seen before. "You did what?" Ryan's voice was cold and sharp. "You went behind my back and got yourself pregnant, without even discussing it with me?" Alex felt his joy crumbling. "I thought you'd be happy. You always said you wanted kids someday. I wanted to give that to us. Someday doesn't mean now." Ryan stood up abruptly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I have responsibilities, a career that's about to explode. I can't be tied down with a baby right now. How could you be so selfish?" "Selfish?" Alex's voice broke. "I did this for us, for our future together." Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Our future? Alex, there is no future with this. You know what? I've been trying to find the right time to tell you this, but clearly there's never going to be a good time. I don't think we're compatible anymore. You're too needy, too focused on this domestic fantasy that I never signed up for." The words hit Alex like physical blows. He stood up from the table, his legs feeling weak. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that maybe this relationship has run its course," Ryan said, his voice getting louder. "And honestly, I always wondered if you could even have kids. You were always so worried about it, so obsessed with fertility. Part of me thought you might be infertile, that all this baby talk was just a fantasy because deep down you knew it would never happen." Alex felt the room spinning. His hand instinctively moved to his stomach, protecting the precious life growing there. "How can you say that? How can you be so cruel?" But Ryan wasn't finished. He grabbed his car keys from the counter, his movements aggressive and angry. "You want to know the truth? Fine. I've been thinking about ending things for months now. This baby thing just proves we want completely different things. I want success, power, freedom. You want diapers and domestic bliss. We're not the same people we were in college." "Ryan, please," Alex begged, moving toward him. "Don't do this. We can work through this. Just give me a chance to explain." Ryan held up his hand, stopping Alex in his tracks. "There's nothing to explain. You made a massive life decision without me, and now you have to deal with the consequences. Alone." "Where are you going?" Alex asked desperately. "Out. I need to think. I need space from all of this," Ryan said, heading toward the door. Then he paused and turned back, his eyes filled with something cruel. "You know what the worst part is? I was supposed to go to that business networking event tonight at the Grandview Hotel. All my colleagues will be there, important people from the industry, but instead, I'm dealing with this mess you created." Alex wiped his tears away angrily. "I created? We created this together, Ryan. This is our baby." "No," Ryan said firmly. "This is your baby, your choice, your problem." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard that the framed photos on the wall rattled. Alex stood frozen in the middle of their apartment, surrounded by the romantic dinner that had gone cold, holding his stomach as sobs racked his body. Hours passed. Alex cleaned up the dinner, throwing away the food that represented his shattered dreams. He tried calling Ryan 17 times, but every call went to voicemail. Finally, around midnight, his best friend Jamie Park called. "Alex, oh my God, you need to see this." Jamie's voice was panicked on the other end. "I'm at the Grandview networking event and Ryan is here. He's drunk and he's telling everyone about you, about the baby. Alex, he's saying terrible things." Alex's blood ran cold. "What kind of things?" "He's telling people you trapped him, that you're desperate and infertile, and that you probably cheated to get pregnant because there's no way the baby is his," Jamie said quickly. "Everyone important in the business community is here. Alex, he's destroying your reputation. You need to get down here and defend yourself." Against his better judgment, Alex grabbed his jacket and called a taxi. 20 minutes later, he walked into the elegant ballroom of the Grandview Hotel, his eyes red from crying, still wearing his casual dinner clothes among all the business suits and evening gowns. He spotted Ryan immediately, standing in the center of a group of well-dressed executives, holding a glass of whiskey and gesturing wildly. Ryan's voice carried across the room. "Infertile, that's what I always suspected," Ryan was saying with a cruel laugh. 3 years together and he was obsessed with having babies, constantly worried he couldn't. And now suddenly he's pregnant? Please, the math doesn't add up if you know what I mean. The group around Ryan laughed uncomfortably. Some people looked away, clearly embarrassed by Ryan's behavior. But Ryan continued, his words slurring slightly. "I mean, can you imagine? Trying to trap someone with a baby in this day and age? It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. He knew I was about to take over Brooks Enterprises, knew I'd be worth millions, and he thought a baby would lock me down. Well, newsflash, it doesn't work like that anymore." Alex felt every word like a knife to his heart. He started to push through the crowd, intending to confront Ryan, to defend himself, to make everyone understand the truth. But then Jamie was there, grabbing his arm and pulling him back. "Don't," Jamie whispered urgently. "Don't give him the satisfaction, don't let him see you break down in front of all these people. That's what he wants. He wants you to look desperate and emotional so he can prove his point." Alex looked at his best friend, tears streaming down his face. Jamie Park had been his friend since high school, a short, energetic person with kind eyes and fierce loyalty. Jamie had always supported Alex through everything, and right now those caring eyes were filled with protective anger. "I can't just let him say those things," Alex choked out. "Yes, you can," Jamie said firmly, pulling Alex toward the exit. "Because you're better than this, you're better than him, and you have something way more important to protect now." Jamie's hand gestured toward Alex's stomach, and suddenly everything became clear. Ryan could say whatever he wanted, could destroy Alex's reputation, could tell lies to everyone in the business community. But none of that mattered compared to the tiny life depending on Alex to stay strong. They left the hotel and sat in Jamie's car in the parking lot. Alex cried until he had no tears left, while Jamie held his hand and let him release all the pain and betrayal and heartbreak. "I loved him," Alex finally said, his voice hoarse. "I really thought we'd be together forever." "I know," Jamie said softly. "But love isn't supposed to hurt like this. Love isn't supposed to be cruel and public and humiliating. What Ryan did in there, what he said about you, that's not love. That's not even close to love." Alex nodded slowly, pulling out his phone. He looked at the ultrasound photos he'd saved, studying the tiny blob that represented his baby, his miracle. "I need to leave," Alex said suddenly. "I can't stay in this city, not after tonight. Everyone will know what Ryan said. Everyone will look at me differently. I need a fresh start." Jamie was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Okay. Then we'll get you a fresh start. My cousin lives 3 hours north in Riverside. It's a smaller city, quieter, more affordable. I can call her tonight and see if she knows of any apartments available." "I don't have much money saved," Alex admitted. "Ryan always handled most of the bills since he made more. I have maybe $3,000 in my personal account." "It's enough for a deposit and first month's rent," Jamie assured him. "And you can do your graphic design work from anywhere. We'll make this work, Alex. You and your baby are going to be fine." Over the next week, everything happened in a blur. Alex moved out of the apartment he'd shared with Ryan while Ryan was at work, taking only his personal belongings and leaving behind all the furniture they'd bought together. He couldn't bear to see Ryan face to face again. Couldn't risk another confrontation that might hurt worse than the first. Ryan sent a single text message that simply said, "I see you moved out. Probably for the best. Good luck with everything." No apology, no acknowledgement of what he'd said at the party, no remorse for destroying the relationship and Alex's reputation in one night. Just cold dismissal, as if 3 years together meant nothing. Jamie helped Alex move into a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Riverside. It was on the 3rd floor of an old building, with creaky floors and a bathroom that needed updating. But the rent was cheap, and the landlord didn't ask too many questions. The neighborhood was quiet, filled with young families and older couples. Exactly the kind of place where Alex could disappear and rebuild his life. On his first night in the new apartment, sitting on an air mattress that Jamie had bought him since he didn't have a bed yet, Alex's phone rang. It was his doctor's office. "Mr. Chen, I hope I'm not calling too late," Dr. Martinez said. "I wanted to reach you personally with some news about your latest ultrasound." Alex's heart dropped. "Is something wrong with the baby?" "Not wrong, exactly," Dr. Martinez said, and Alex could hear the smile in her voice. "But we did discover something unexpected. Mr. Chen, you're not having one baby. You're having 3. Triplets." The phone slipped from Alex's hand and clattered onto the floor. 3 babies. Not 1, but 3. 3 tiny lives depending on him. 3 miracles growing inside him. He picked up the phone with shaking hands. "Are you sure? Is that even possible?" "It's rare, but not unheard of with the fertility program you used," Dr. Martinez explained. "The early ultrasound only showed 1 embryo clearly, but as they've developed, we can now see all 3. They're all healthy and developing normally. Congratulations, Mr. Chen. You're going to be the father of triplets." After the call ended, Alex sat in silence in his empty apartment. 3 babies. 3 times the joy, 3 times the love, 3 times the responsibility. And he would be doing it completely alone, without Ryan, without the support he'd counted on, without the future he'd planned. But as he placed his hands on his stomach, feeling the slight swell that was just beginning to show, Alex made a promise to his 3 babies, to his triplets, to the 3 little miracles that Ryan had rejected. "I will give you everything," Alex whispered into the quiet apartment. I will work harder than I've ever worked. I will love you more than anyone has ever been loved. And I will never, ever let anyone make you feel like you're not wanted. Because you are wanted. You are my everything. And your papa is going to make sure you have the best life possible. That night, Alex created a new folder on his laptop and titled it New Beginning. Inside, he started listing goals, making plans, researching ways to grow his graphic design business. He couldn't change what Ryan had done or said. He couldn't erase the humiliation or the heartbreak, but he could move forward. He could build something new. He could prove that Ryan's cruel words were nothing but lies from a coward who was too weak to appreciate the gift he'd been given. 3 weeks into his new life in Riverside, Alex was settling into a routine. Wake up, work on design projects from home, attend doctor appointments, try not to think about Ryan. Jamie visited every weekend, bringing groceries and encouragement and friendship that kept Alex from falling into complete despair. But money was getting tight. The graphic design work was inconsistent, and Alex's pregnancy was making it harder to focus for long hours. His small savings were dwindling fast with medical bills and living expenses. He needed a solution, but he didn't know where to turn. One morning, Alex had an important doctor's appointment to check on the triplets' development. He'd taken the bus to the medical center, a 30-minute ride from his apartment. The appointment went well, with Dr. Martinez confirming all 3 babies were healthy and growing right on schedule. She handed him updated ultrasound photos, and Alex stared at them in wonder, seeing 3 distinct little shapes now. 3 little beings who would soon be in his arms. He was so focused on the photos, so lost in thoughts about his children's future, that he didn't watch where he was walking as he left the medical building. He stepped out into the parking lot, his eyes still on the ultrasound images, and walked straight into someone coming from the opposite direction. Papers went flying everywhere. Alex's ultrasound photos scattered across the pavement along with business documents and folders that belonged to the stranger he'd collided with. Alex immediately dropped to his knees, frantically gathering the precious photos while apologizing profusely. "I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking where I was going," Alex said quickly, his face burning with embarrassment. "No harm done," a warm voice replied. "Here, let me help you." Alex looked up and found himself staring into kind brown eyes that seemed to hold genuine concern. The man was tall and well-dressed in an expensive charcoal suit, probably in his early 30s, with strong features and dark hair. He was already kneeling down, carefully picking up Alex's ultrasound photos with gentle hands. "Are these yours?" the man asked, glancing at the images before handing them back. "Congratulations. Are you having triplets?" Alex nodded, taking the photos with trembling hands. "Yes. 3 babies. It's a lot, but I'm managing." The stranger smiled warmly. "That's amazing. Truly. I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Wellington." "Alex Chen," Alex replied, standing up with Marcus's help. He noticed Marcus also carefully gathered all his own scattered papers, and Alex helped retrieve the last few business documents. "I really am sorry about bumping into you." "Honestly, it's fine," Marcus assured him. "I was actually rushing because I'm late for a meeting, but some things are more important than business." He pulled out a business card from his wallet and handed it to Alex. "I run a company here in Riverside. If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, please don't hesitate to call. Supporting new families is something I believe in strongly." Alex looked at the card. It read, "Marcus Wellington, CEO, Wellington Industries," with a phone number and email address. The name Wellington sounded vaguely familiar, but Alex couldn't place where he'd heard it before. "Thank you," Alex said softly, pocketing the card. "That's very kind of you." Marcus studied Alex's face for a moment, and something flickered in his expression that Alex couldn't quite read. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. I don't mean to overstep, but if you ever need help, professional advice, or even just someone to talk to about the challenges of starting a family, my door is open." Before Alex could respond, Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at it apologetically. "I really do have to run now. But Alex, I meant what I said. Take care of yourself and those 3 little ones." And then Marcus was gone, walking quickly toward an expensive black car in the parking lot, leaving Alex standing there confused and oddly comforted by the brief encounter. 6 months had passed since that terrible night at the Grandview Hotel, and Alex's life had transformed in ways he never could have imagined. His small apartment was now filled with baby supplies that Jamie had helped him find at secondhand stores and garage sales. 3 cribs lined one wall of what used to be a storage room, now converted into a nursery with soft blue paint that Alex had carefully applied himself. His stomach had grown significantly, making simple tasks like tying his shoes or reaching high shelves nearly impossible. The triplets were active now, constantly moving and kicking, making their presence known at all hours. Alex would lie awake at night, feeling the 3 separate movements, trying to identify which baby was which based on their position. He'd already started calling them by their chosen names, talking to them constantly, telling them about his day and his dreams for their future. But life was getting harder. His graphic design business had slowed considerably because sitting at the computer for long periods made his back ache terribly. Clients were understanding, but ultimately they needed their projects completed on time, and Alex was struggling to meet deadlines. His savings account was nearly empty, and the bills kept coming. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon when Alex was working on a logo design for a local restaurant. His laptop made a strange clicking sound, then the screen went black. No matter what he did, pressing buttons, plugging and unplugging it, the computer wouldn't turn back on. His laptop, his only source of income, was completely dead. Alex called Jamie in a panic. My computer died. All my files, all my current projects, everything was on there. I don't have money for a new one. Jamie, I don't know what to do. Jamie was silent for a moment. Do you still have that business card from the guy you bumped into at the hospital? Marcus Wellington? Alex frowned, going to his wallet where he'd kept the card for the past 6 months. He'd looked at it many times but had never felt right about calling, afraid to seem like he was taking advantage of a stranger's kindness. Yes, but I can't just call him and ask for help. I don't even know him. He told you to call if you needed anything, Jamie reminded him gently. Alex, pride is a luxury you can't afford right now. You have 3 babies coming in 3 months. You need help. That night, Alex stared at Marcus Wellington's business card for over an hour. The thought of calling a wealthy stranger and explaining his desperate situation made him feel sick with shame. But every time he looked at the nursery, at the 3 cribs waiting for his babies, he knew Jamie was right. With shaking hands, he dialed the number. Marcus Wellington, came the warm voice he remembered from their brief meeting. Mr. Wellington, this is Alex Chen. We met 6 months ago outside the medical center. I ran into you and we both dropped our papers, Alex said quickly, the words tumbling out. You probably don't remember me, but you gave me your card and said to call if I needed anything. Alex with the triplets, Marcus said immediately, his voice brightening with recognition. Of course I remember. How are you? How are the babies? Alex was surprised Marcus remembered him at all. They're healthy, thank God, growing strong, but I'm calling because I'm in a difficult situation and I don't know where else to turn. He explained about the laptop dying, about his graphic design business being his only income, about the mounting bills and the 3 babies coming soon. His voice shook with embarrassment as he spoke, hating that he had to ask for help, hating that he'd been reduced to calling a stranger for charity. Marcus listened without interrupting, and when Alex finished, there was a brief pause. What kind of computer do you need for your design work? I don't expect you to buy me a computer, Alex said quickly. I was just hoping maybe you knew of any payment plans, or maybe a place that rents equipment, something I could manage until I get back on my feet. Alex, where do you live? Marcus asked instead of answering his question. Alex gave him the address of his apartment, confused about where this was going. Marcus made a thoughtful sound. I have an idea. Can you be home tomorrow afternoon around 2? Yes, but... Perfect, I'll see you then. And Alex, try not to worry. We'll figure this out together. The call ended before Alex could protest or ask what Marcus meant. He spent the rest of the evening in anxious confusion, wondering what he'd just done. The next day at exactly 2 in the afternoon, there was a knock on Alex's door. He opened it to find Marcus standing there in casual jeans and a sweater, looking much more relaxed than their first meeting. Behind him was a delivery person with a large box. "Hi, Alex," Marcus said with a warm smile. "May I come in?" Alex stepped aside, still confused. Marcus directed the delivery person to set the box on Alex's small dining table, then tipped them generously before they left. Once they were alone, Marcus opened the box to reveal a brand new, top-of-the-line laptop, along with a wireless mouse, a laptop stand, and several other accessories. "Mr. Wellington, I can't accept this," Alex said immediately, even as his heart ached at seeing the beautiful equipment. "This is too expensive. I could never pay you back. Call me Marcus, please." "And you're not paying me back," Marcus said firmly but kindly. "Consider it an investment." "An investment in what?" Alex asked, bewildered. Marcus looked around the small apartment, taking in the nursery visible through the open door, the second-hand furniture, the careful organization of limited space. His expression softened with understanding. "An investment in talent and potential," Marcus explained. "I did some research after you called. Your graphic design portfolio is impressive, Alex. You have real skill, but more than that, you're a person who's working incredibly hard to build a good life for your children. That kind of determination deserves support, not obstacles." Alex felt tears welling up in his eyes. "I don't understand why you're being so kind to me. You don't know anything about me." Marcus pulled out a chair and sat down, gesturing for Alex to do the same. "Can I be honest with you?" Alex nodded, settling into a chair carefully, his large stomach making the movement awkward. "When we bumped into each other 6 months ago, I saw something in your eyes," Marcus said thoughtfully. "Pain, fear, but also incredible strength. You were alone, clearly pregnant with triplets, and you looked like you were carrying the weight of the world. It stuck with me. I kept thinking about you, wondering if you were okay." "That's why you remembered me," Alex said softly. "Yes, and when you called yesterday, I was actually relieved. I'd hoped you would reach out if you needed help." Marcus leaned forward. "I grew up with very little, Alex. My mother raised me alone after my father left when I was 5. I watched her struggle every day to give me opportunities. When I finally became successful with my company, I promised myself I would help people who were in situations like she was. Like you are now." Alex wiped away tears. "I'm not usually this emotional. The pregnancy hormones are making me cry at everything." Marcus laughed gently. "That's completely understandable. Now, let's get this laptop set up for you. I also took the liberty of having my IT team transfer all your files from your old hard drive." He pulled out an external hard drive from his bag. "They worked through the night to recover everything. All your projects, all your client files, everything should be here." Alex couldn't speak. He just stared at Marcus with overwhelming gratitude and disbelief. This stranger, this impossibly kind person, had just saved his livelihood and his ability to provide for his babies. Over the next hour, Marcus helped set up the new laptop, ensured all the software Alex needed was installed, and verified that all his files were intact. As they worked, they talked. Marcus asked about Alex's design work, genuinely interested in his creative process. Alex found himself relaxing, sharing his passion for design and his dreams of one day running a larger agency. "What about the baby's other father?" Marcus asked carefully at one point. "Is he involved in their lives?" Alex's expression darkened. "No. He made it very clear he wants nothing to do with them or me." "I'm sorry," Marcus said sincerely. "That must be incredibly difficult." "It was at first," Alex admitted. "But now I think it's better this way. My children deserve someone who truly wants them, not someone who sees them as a burden or a mistake." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "You're going to be an amazing father, Alex. These 3 babies are lucky to have you." Before leaving, Marcus pulled out a checkbook. "I know you're going to tell me you can't accept this, but please hear me out. Consider this a loan, interest-free, that you can pay back whenever you're financially stable. Use it for baby supplies, medical bills, rent, whatever you need." He wrote a check for $5,000 and set it on the table. Alex stared at it in shock. "Marcus, this is too much. I can't." "You can and you will," Marcus interrupted gently. "Because your babies deserve to have everything they need, and you deserve to not be drowning in stress during your pregnancy. Take the help, Alex. Let someone be there for you." After Marcus left, Alex sat in his apartment holding the check and looking at his new laptop, completely overwhelmed. He called Jamie immediately. "He just gave me a computer and $5,000, Alex said, his voice filled with disbelief. "Who does that? Who helps a complete stranger like this?" "A good person," Jamie said simply. "Maybe the universe is finally giving you something good after everything Ryan put you through." Over the next several weeks, Marcus became a regular presence in Alex's life. It started with a follow-up call to make sure the laptop was working properly, then evolved into weekly check-ins to see how Alex was feeling. Sometimes Marcus would stop by with takeout food, insisting that Alex needed to eat better during the pregnancy. Other times he'd arrive with supplies he'd picked up, things like prenatal vitamins or books about raising multiples. Alex found himself looking forward to Marcus's visits. They would sit in the small apartment and talk for hours about everything and nothing. Marcus shared stories about building his company from the ground up, about the struggles and victories of entrepreneurship. Alex opened up about his childhood, his dreams, his fears about becoming a father to 3 babies all at once. What Alex didn't share was the full story of Ryan and the betrayal. He kept that pain locked away, too ashamed to admit how publicly he'd been humiliated, too afraid that Marcus might judge him for the choices he'd made. 3 months before the babies were due, Alex had a prenatal appointment that showed some concerning signs. His blood pressure was elevated and the doctor wanted him on modified bed rest, meaning no stress and limited physical activity. When Marcus came by for his usual weekly visit and found Alex crying on the couch, he immediately sat down beside him. "What happened?" Marcus asked with concern. Alex explained about the bed rest, about how it meant he couldn't do as much design work, about his fear that his blood pressure issues might harm the babies. "I'm failing them," Alex sobbed. "I'm supposed to protect them and my body isn't cooperating." Marcus took Alex's hand firmly. "Listen to me. You are not failing anyone. You're carrying 3 babies, Alex. 3. Your body is doing something extraordinary and challenging. Having some complications doesn't make you weak or inadequate. It makes you human." "But I can't afford to work less," Alex protested. "The medical bills keep coming and the babies will be here so soon and I need to have everything ready." "Then let me help more," Marcus said decisively. "I'll hire you as a consultant for Wellington Industries. Our marketing department always needs graphic design work. You can work on projects from home, at your own pace, with no deadline pressure. I'll pay you a monthly retainer that will cover your expenses." Alex shook his head. "That's charity disguised as work. You don't need to create a fake job for me." "It's not fake," Marcus insisted. "I'm serious about this. We genuinely need design work done, and you're talented. This is a legitimate business arrangement that happens to also solve your financial stress problem. Please let me do this." Looking into Marcus's sincere eyes, Alex finally nodded. He was too tired to argue, too scared for his babies to let pride stand in the way of their well-being. True to his word, Marcus set up the consulting arrangement. The work was real but manageable, allowing Alex to contribute meaningful designs while staying within his medical restrictions. The monthly payments were generous, giving Alex financial breathing room for the first time since leaving his old life. But more valuable than the money was Marcus's presence. He started visiting almost daily, helping Alex with tasks that had become difficult. He assembled the 3 cribs, installed safety equipment, organized the nursery. He brought groceries and cooked meals, insisting that Alex needed proper nutrition. He drove Alex to doctor appointments and sat in the waiting room, ready to help if needed. Jamie noticed the change immediately during a weekend visit. "Marcus has been here every day this week," Jamie observed, watching Marcus expertly fold tiny baby clothes while chatting with Alex. "That's more than just being helpful. That's devotion." Alex blushed. "He's just a good person who likes helping people." "He likes helping you specifically," Jamie corrected with a knowing smile. "And unless I'm completely misreading the situation, you're starting to have feelings for him too." Alex couldn't deny it. Somewhere between the laptop delivery and the daily visits and the genuine care Marcus showed, Alex had started falling for him. But the fear was overwhelming. He'd been so wrong about Ryan, so completely fooled by someone he thought loved him. How could he trust his judgment again? The moment everything changed came on a Friday evening 2 months before the baby's due date. Alex was sitting on the couch, reading a parenting book, when he felt a strange tightness in his stomach. Then another, and another. Braxton Hicks contractions. The doctor had warned him to expect these, but these felt different, stronger and more regular. When Jamie called for their usual evening check-in, Alex mentioned the contractions. "How far apart are they?" Jamie asked immediately, concern in their voice. Alex timed the next few. "About 15 minutes. Alex, you need to get to the hospital now. Jamie is 3 hours away. You need to call someone. Call Marcus." "I can't bother him on a Friday night," Alex protested even as another contraction hit. "He probably has plans. Call him now or I'm calling an ambulance," Jamie threatened. With shaking hands, Alex dialed Marcus's number. He answered on the second ring. "Marcus, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm having contractions and Jamie thinks I should go to the hospital," Alex said quickly. "I can probably take a taxi. I'm on my way." "Don't move. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Marcus interrupted, and Alex could hear him already moving, grabbing keys. True to his word, Marcus arrived in record time. He helped Alex carefully down the 3 flights of stairs and into his car, then drove to the hospital with focused calm. In the emergency room, Marcus held Alex's hand as they waited for the doctor, his thumb making soothing circles on Alex's palm. The contractions were indeed real, but thankfully the medical team was able to stop them with medication. The babies weren't ready to come yet, but it had been close, too close. Dr. Martinez ordered complete bed rest for the remainder of the pregnancy. "You're lucky you got here when you did," she told Alex seriously. "Triplets at 7 months would have needed significant NICU time. Let's try to keep them cooking for at least another month or 2. That night, Marcus insisted on staying at Alex's apartment. He slept on the uncomfortable second-hand couch, refusing to leave Alex alone in case something else happened. In the middle of the night, Alex woke up to find Marcus sitting in the chair beside his bed, reading by the light of his phone. "You should be sleeping," Alex said softly. Marcus looked up with a gentle smile. "I wanted to make sure you're okay." "How are you feeling?" "Scared," Alex admitted. "What if something happens to them? What if I can't protect them?" Marcus moved from the chair to sit on the edge of the bed. "You're doing everything right, Alex. Sometimes bodies just need extra help, and that's okay. Those babies are fighters, just like their papa." Alex felt tears streaming down his face. "Why are you so good to me? Why do you care so much about what happens to us?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his expression thoughtful in the dim light. "Can I be completely honest with you?" Alex nodded. "I've fallen in love with you," Marcus said quietly. "I know the timing is complicated, and you're dealing with so much already, but I can't keep pretending these feelings don't exist. I love your strength, your determination, your kindness. I love how you talk to your babies even though they're not here yet. I love how you've rebuilt your life despite clearly dealing with pain you haven't told me about. And I love those 3 little ones already, even though I haven't met them yet." Alex's breath caught. "Marcus, I have feelings for you too, but I'm terrified. The baby's other father, he hurt me so badly. He said terrible things, did terrible things. What if I'm wrong again? What if you change your mind once the babies are here and everything is messy and difficult?" "I won't," Marcus said firmly, taking Alex's hands in his. "Alex, I'm not asking you to trust me completely right now. I know trust has to be earned. But I'm asking you to give me the chance to prove that I'm here to stay. I want to be part of your life, part of their lives. Not as charity or obligation, but because I genuinely want to build a family with you." "A family," Alex repeated, the word feeling both wonderful and terrifying. "Yes. You, me, and 3 beautiful babies who are going to be here soon. Let me be here for all of it. Let me be the person who supports you, who loves you, who's there at 3 in the morning when they're crying. Let me be their father figure, if you'll have me." Alex pulled Marcus closer, kissing him softly. It was their first kiss, gentle and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Alex was crying again, but this time from happiness rather than fear. "Yes," Alex whispered. "Yes to all of it. But I need to tell you everything first. About Ryan, about what happened, about why I'm so scared." And so, in the quiet darkness of that night, Alex finally told Marcus the whole story. About Ryan's cruelty, about the public humiliation, about the devastating betrayal. He expected Marcus to be shocked or uncomfortable, but instead, Marcus just held him tighter. "He's a fool," Marcus said when Alex finished. "An absolute fool to let you go. But his loss is my gain, and I promise you, I will spend every day proving that you made the right choice in trusting me." 3 weeks later, at exactly 8 months pregnant and on complete bed rest, Alex went into labor for real. This time there was no stopping it. Marcus rushed him to the hospital, calling Jamie on the way and staying by Alex's side through every contraction, every moment of pain and fear and anticipation. Lily was born first at 6:47 p.m., tiny but healthy with a powerful cry that filled the delivery room. Max followed 3 minutes later, quieter, but just as perfect. And finally, Sophie arrived at 6:58 p.m., completing their family of 5. Marcus cried as he held each baby for the first time, his face filled with absolute wonder and love. When all 3 were cleaned and checked and deemed healthy despite being a few weeks early, the nurses placed them on Alex's chest for skin-to-skin contact. Alex looked at his 3 miracles, then up at Marcus, who was photographing every precious moment, and felt complete happiness for the first time in nearly a year. "Thank you," Alex said to Marcus through tears of joy. "Thank you for being here, for helping me, for loving us." Marcus kissed Alex's forehead gently. "Thank you for letting me be part of this." "They're perfect, Alex. Absolutely perfect." In the quiet hospital room surrounded by the soft sounds of 3 sleeping newborns, Marcus took Alex's hand. "I know this might seem fast, and you can absolutely say no, but I want to ask you something important." He pulled out a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a simple but elegant ring. "Alex Chen, will you marry me? Will you let me be the husband you deserve and the father these 3 beautiful children deserve? I promise to love you through the sleepless nights and the difficult days. I promise to change diapers and warm bottles and sing lullabies. I promise to be your partner in every sense of the word. Will you marry me?" Alex looked at the ring, then at the 3 babies sleeping peacefully, then at Marcus's hopeful face. 6 months ago, he'd been broken and alone, convinced his life was ruined. Now he was surrounded by love, holding his 3 miracles, being proposed to by a man who had proven his devotion every single day. "Yes," Alex said through happy tears. "Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to building this family together. Yes to all of it." Marcus slipped the ring onto Alex's finger, then kissed him softly, careful not to disturb the babies. Jamie arrived an hour later and found them like that, the 5 of them together, already looking like they'd always been a family. The wedding was small and simple, held 2 months later in Marcus's beautiful house where Alex and the triplets had moved after leaving the tiny apartment. Just Jamie and a few close friends attended as they exchanged vows in the living room while the twins napped in their bassinets nearby. Lily was awake in Jamie's arms, seemingly watching her papa promise to love Marcus forever, her tiny hand wrapped around Jamie's finger. Alex wore a simple suit and Marcus looked handsome in navy blue. When they kissed as married husbands, the small group applauded and Lily made a cooing sound that made everyone laugh. That night, after all the guests had left and the babies were finally asleep after their evening feeding, Alex and Marcus sat together on the couch in their home. Marcus's home, which was now their home. "Are you happy?" Marcus asked, pulling Alex close. "More than I ever thought possible," Alex answered honestly. 6 months ago I was alone and terrified. Now I have 3 beautiful babies and a husband who loves us. It still doesn't feel real sometimes." "It's real," Marcus assured him, "and it's forever. You, me, Lily, Max, and Sophie. We're a family now." As Alex drifted off to sleep that night, safe in Marcus's arms, he thought about the journey that had brought him here. The pain, the betrayal, the struggle, the fear. And then the unexpected kindness, the growing love, the support that had lifted him up when he thought he couldn't continue. He didn't know that his story with Ryan wasn't quite finished. He didn't know that fate had one more chapter waiting, one final confrontation that would bring everything full circle. But for now, in this moment, Alex was simply grateful for the family he'd found in the ashes of his broken dreams. 2 years passed in a blur of laughter, tears, diaper changes, and joy. Lily, Max, and Sophie grew from tiny newborns into energetic toddlers with distinct personalities. Lily was the artist of the family, always covered in paint or crayon marks. creating colorful masterpieces that Marcus proudly displayed in his office. Max was the builder, obsessed with blocks and puzzles, able to focus on construction projects for hours with determination that reminded Alex of himself. Sophie was the musician, constantly singing and dancing, banging on pots and pans to make her own special concerts for the family. Alex's graphic design consulting business had flourished beyond his wildest dreams. What started as a small arrangement with Wellington Industries had grown into a full design agency with 3 employees working under him. He'd recently been featured in a business magazine article about successful entrepreneurs who'd overcome adversity, though he'd kept the specific details of his past private, only mentioning that he'd rebuilt his life as a single parent before meeting Marcus. Marcus's company had also experienced tremendous growth. Wellington Industries had expanded into new markets, acquiring several smaller technology firms and becoming one of the largest employers in the region. The company's success had made Marcus one of the most prominent business figures in the state, frequently invited to speak at conferences and industry events. But despite all the professional success and personal happiness, Alex still carried the scars of what Ryan had done. He'd healed, certainly, but the memory of that terrible night at the Grandview Hotel still occasionally haunted him. He'd successfully avoided his old city and anyone from that part of his life, building a completely new social circle in Riverside. Until the invitation arrived, Marcus came home one evening with a fancy envelope bearing the seal of the State Business Council. "We've been invited to the annual Technology Leadership Summit in the Capitol," he announced, setting his briefcase down and immediately being mobbed by 3 toddlers shouting, "Daddy!" In unison. Alex was in the kitchen preparing dinner, and he felt his stomach drop. "The Capitol? That's where—" "I know," Marcus said gently, having finally extracted himself from the excited children and joined Alex in the kitchen. "That's where Ryan works. It's where everything happened. But Alex, this summit is the biggest event of the year in our industry. I've been named the keynote speaker. They're honoring Wellington Industries as the company of the year." Alex forced a smile, trying to be supportive despite the anxiety clawing at his chest. "That's wonderful, Marcus. You deserve the recognition." Marcus studied his husband's face carefully. "We don't have to go if you're not comfortable. I can send someone else to accept the award." "Don't be ridiculous," Alex said firmly. "You've worked incredibly hard for this recognition. I won't let my past stop you from enjoying your achievements." But as the date of the summit approached, Alex's anxiety grew. Jamie noticed during their weekly video call when Alex was more distracted than usual while the Triplets played in the background. "You're worried about seeing Ryan again?" Jamie observed. It wasn't a question. "Is it that obvious?" Alex sighed, watching Sophie dance to music only she could hear. "It's been over 2 years. I should be over it by now." "Trauma doesn't have an expiration date," Jamie reminded him gently. "That man said horrible things about you in front of everyone who mattered in his industry. He tried to destroy your reputation and humiliated you when you were vulnerable. It's okay to still feel hurt by that." "But I have everything now," Alex protested. "An amazing husband, 3 beautiful children, a successful business. Ryan has none of that. By all measures, I won. So why does the thought of seeing him again make me want to hide?" Jamie smiled wisely. "Because seeing him means all those important people who heard his lies 2 years ago will see you again. You're worried about being judged, about being looked at as that person Ryan described, instead of the successful, happy person you've become." "Exactly," Alex admitted. "What if they still believe his version of the story? What if they think I'm some desperate person who trapped Marcus the way Ryan accused me of trapping him? Then they're idiots who don't deserve a second thought," Jamie said firmly. "But Alex, think about this. You'll be walking into that summit as Marcus Wellington's husband, the spouse of the keynote speaker and owner of the company of the year. You'll have your head held high, wearing expensive clothes, carrying yourself with confidence. You're not the scared, pregnant person who ran away 2 years ago. You're Alex Chen Wellington, successful business owner and amazing parent. Let them see who you really are." Jamie's words stayed with Alex over the next few weeks. As the summit date approached, he focused on preparing mentally and emotionally. He bought a new suit, practiced his confident posture in the mirror, and reminded himself constantly of everything he'd overcome and achieved. The night before the summit, after putting the triplets to bed, Alex and Marcus sat together in their bedroom. Marcus had noticed Alex's nervousness throughout the day. "We can still skip this," Marcus offered for the 10th time. "The award doesn't matter compared to your well-being." Alex took his husband's hand and squeezed it. "No, I need to do this. I need to face that part of my past and show myself that it doesn't have power over me anymore. Besides, I want to be there when you receive your award. I'm so proud of you, Marcus." Marcus pulled Alex close. "And I'm proud of you, for your strength, for your courage, for being willing to walk back into a situation that hurt you so deeply. But promise me something?" "What?" Alex asked. "If it becomes too much, if you need to leave, we leave. No questions asked. Your mental health is more important than any business award. Promise me you'll tell me if you're not okay." "I promise," Alex agreed, kissing his husband softly. The next morning, they left the triplets with their regular babysitter and made the 2-hour drive to the capital city. Alex's hands shook slightly as the familiar skyline came into view. They checked into their hotel room and began preparing for the evening summit. Alex dressed carefully in his new charcoal gray suit, styled his hair perfectly, and looked at himself in the mirror. He looked successful, confident, happy. He looked nothing like the devastated person who had fled this city 2 years ago. "You look incredible," Marcus said, coming up behind him in his own elegant black suit. "Are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Alex replied, taking a deep breath. The Technology Leadership Summit was held in the grand ballroom of the city's most prestigious hotel, the same hotel where that terrible networking event had taken place 2 years earlier. Alex felt a wave of nausea as they entered the building, but Marcus's steady hand on his lower back kept him grounded. The ballroom was filled with hundreds of people in expensive business attire, networking and discussing industry trends. Waitstaff moved through the crowd with appetizers and champagne. A string quartet played soft classical music in one corner. Everything was elegant and professional, exactly the kind of event where Alex would normally feel comfortable. But his eyes kept scanning the crowd, looking for the one face he was dreading to see. Marcus introduced Alex to various business leaders and colleagues, each conversation helping Alex relax slightly. People were friendly and respectful, treating him as Marcus's equal partner rather than some accessory. Several people even complimented his design agency, having heard about it through industry connections. They were talking with the CEO of a software company when Alex spotted him across the room. Ryan Brooks, looking older and more stressed than Alex remembered, wearing an expensive suit that couldn't hide the defeated slump in his shoulders. He was standing alone near the bar, staring down at his drink with a miserable expression. Alex's breath caught and Marcus immediately noticed, following his gaze. "Is that him?" "Yes," Alex whispered. Marcus's expression hardened slightly. "Do you want to leave? We can go right now." "No," Alex said, surprised by the steadiness in his own voice. "No, I want to stay. Let him see us. Let him see what he lost." As if sensing their attention, Ryan looked up and his eyes locked with Alex's across the crowded room. The glass in Ryan's hand trembled slightly, his face going pale with shock. His gaze moved from Alex to Marcus standing protectively beside him, and recognition dawned in Ryan's eyes. The Ryan Brooks was staring at Alex Chen, the person he'd publicly humiliated, standing hand in hand with Marcus Wellington, his father's biggest business rival and the man who was about to be honored as the most successful businessman of the year. Ryan started pushing through the crowd toward them, his expression desperate. Marcus instinctively moved slightly in front of Alex, but Alex gently touched his arm. "It's okay," Alex said quietly. "I can handle this." Ryan stopped a few feet away from them, looking between Alex and Marcus with obvious confusion and growing horror. "Alex, I can't believe it's you. You look so different. You look amazing." "Hello, Ryan," Alex said calmly, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "It's been a while." "I had no idea you knew Marcus Wellington," Ryan said, and Alex could hear the tremor in his voice. "How did you two meet?" "We met by chance about 2 years ago," Marcus answered for Alex, his voice cold and professional. "Shortly after Alex moved to Riverside to start his new life. I'm Marcus Wellington, Alex's husband, though I suspect you already figured that out." The word husband hit Ryan visibly. He actually stumbled back a step, his face draining of color. Husband? You got married? 2 years ago, Alex confirmed, holding up his left hand where his wedding ring gleamed under the ballroom lights. Right after our children were born. Children? Ryan repeated weakly. You actually had the baby? I thought. He stopped, clearly realizing what he was about to say. You thought what? Alex asked, his voice taking on an edge. You thought I was lying? You thought I couldn't really be pregnant because you'd spent years telling people I was probably infertile? Ryan's face flushed red. Several nearby people had stopped their conversations and were listening with interest, recognizing the rising tension in Alex's voice. Marcus noticed the growing audience and placed a supportive hand on Alex's back, ready to intervene if needed. Alex, about that night, Ryan started, his voice pleading. I was drunk and angry and I said terrible things that I've regretted every day since. I didn't mean any of it. I was scared and I handled it in the worst possible way. You told everyone at a business networking event that I was desperate, infertile, and probably cheating, Alex said, his voice growing stronger. You humiliated me in front of hundreds of important people in your industry. You destroyed my reputation in this city with your lies. And why? Because I told you we were having a baby. Because I was excited about starting a family with someone I loved. More people were definitely listening now, forming a loose circle around the confrontation. Alex noticed some of them exchanging glances, clearly remembering the incident from 2 years ago. Let them listen, he thought. Let them hear the truth. I know, Ryan said desperately. I was horrible. I was the worst version of myself. But Alex, I've been miserable without you. The company is struggling, my father blames me for losing major contracts, and I'm alone. I think about you constantly, about the mistakes I made. When I heard you'd moved away and I couldn't find you, I thought I'd lost my chance to apologize forever. You did lose your chance, Alex said firmly. That chance ended the moment you called me infertile in front of everyone, the moment you accused me of trapping you, the moment you walked away from me and our children. Children plural? Ryan asked, his voice barely a whisper. How many children do you have? Before Alex could answer, Jamie appeared from the crowd carrying a phone. Sorry to interrupt, but the babysitter just sent an update video and I thought you'd want to see it, Alex. The triplets were asking for you. Jamie held up the phone, showing a video of 3 beautiful 2-year-old children playing together in a living room. Lily was painting. Max was building with blocks, and Sophie was dancing while singing to herself. All 3 looked healthy, happy, and absolutely adorable. Triplets, Ryan breathed, staring at the screen. You had triplets. Yes, Alex said, taking the phone from Jamie and smiling at the video of his children. Lily, Max, and Sophie. They'll be 3 years old in 4 months. They're smart, creative, and full of life. They have 2 parents who love them unconditionally and would do anything for them. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. Those could have been my children. That could have been my family. I threw it all away because I was too stupid and scared to see what I had. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cutting through Ryan's self-pity like a knife. No, those couldn't have been your children. Because being a parent requires love, commitment, and courage. It requires putting someone else's needs before your own fears. You proved that night that you didn't have those qualities. Alex deserved better, and so did these 3 beautiful children. And they got better, Alex added, looking up at Marcus with love. They got a father who was there for every midnight feeding, every diaper change, every first word. They got a father who reads them bedtime stories every night and plays with them every morning before work. They got Marcus, who chose to be their father when he had no obligation to do so. Ryan looked between them, and Alex could see the moment the full realization hit him. Wellington Industries. You're Marcus Wellington of Wellington Industries, the company that's been systematically taking every major contract from Brooks Enterprises for the past 2 years. Marcus's expression remained neutral. We've simply been offering better products and services. Business is business. But Alex saw the flash of something else in Marcus's eyes and suddenly understood. You knew, Alex said to his husband. When we met 2 years ago outside the medical center, you already knew who I was. You knew about Ryan and what he'd done. Marcus nodded slowly. I'd heard the rumors going around the business community about Ryan Brooks and his behavior at that networking event. I didn't know all the details, but I knew he'd publicly humiliated someone he'd been in a relationship with. When I bumped into you and saw those ultrasound images, saw the sadness in your eyes, I put the pieces together. So all of this, Ryan said, his voice rising with anger and desperation. Helping Alex, marrying him, it was all to get back at me? To get back at my family's company? No, Marcus said firmly. Helping Alex had nothing to do with you. I helped him because he needed help and because I saw something special in him from the very first moment we met. I fell in love with him because he's brilliant, strong, and kind. I married him because I wanted to spend my life with him and those 3 children. You were never part of the equation, Ryan. You were irrelevant. The word irrelevant seemed to hurt Ryan more than anything else that had been said. He looked at Alex with desperate eyes. Alex, please. I know I don't deserve it, but can we talk privately? Can I at least apologize properly? Can I meet my children? They're not your children, Alex said, his voice cold now. They never were. You made that clear when you rejected them before they were even born. Marcus is their father in every way that matters. His name is on their birth certificates. He's the one they call Daddy. You're just a stranger who made the biggest mistake of his life. The crowd around them had grown larger, with people openly staring now. Alex noticed several people recording the confrontation on their phones. Part of him knew this would be all over social media within hours, but he didn't care anymore. Let people see the truth. Let them see who Ryan really was. Ryan was crying openly now, tears streaming down his face. I've lost everything. The company is failing. My father barely speaks to me anymore because he blames me for the contracts we've lost to Wellington Industries. I have no one. I'm completely alone. And it's all because I was too blind to see what I had with you. Yes, it is, Alex agreed without sympathy. You made choices, Ryan. You chose cruelty over kindness. You chose your pride over our family. You chose to publicly humiliate me when I was vulnerable. Those were your choices, and now you have to live with the consequences. Marcus checked his watch and leaned toward Alex. The award ceremony is starting in 5 minutes. We should find our seats. Alex nodded and started to walk away, but Ryan grabbed his arm desperately. Marcus immediately tensed, ready to intervene, but Alex handled it himself. Let go of me, Alex said firmly, pulling his arm back. You don't get to touch me anymore. You don't get to have any part of my life. I forgive you, Ryan, because holding on to anger would only hurt me and my family. But forgiveness doesn't mean I want you in my life. It means I'm releasing you from taking up space in my head and my heart. I'm moving forward with the family I've built, the family that actually wants me. Ryan released his arm and stood there looking utterly defeated as Alex and Marcus walked away. Jamie appeared beside them, having watched the entire confrontation with protective vigilance. That was incredibly brave. Jamie whispered to Alex as they found their seats for the ceremony. It needed to happen, Alex replied, feeling lighter than he had in years. I needed to say those things, and he needed to hear them. The award ceremony began, and Alex watched with pride as Marcus was honored as the Technology Leader of the Year and Wellington Industries received the Company of the Year award. Marcus's acceptance speech was eloquent and professional, thanking his team and acknowledging the hard work that had built the company's success. But at the end, he added something unexpected. I also want to thank my husband, Alex Wellington, Marcus said, looking directly at Alex in the audience. Alex taught me that true success isn't measured in contracts or profits. It's measured in the love you give and receive, in the family you build, and in the strength you show during difficult times. Alex, you and our 3 children are my greatest achievement, and I'm honored to share this award with you. The audience applauded as Alex stood up, his eyes filled with happy tears. He joined Marcus on stage, and they shared a quick kiss before returning to their seats together. Out of the corner of his eye, Alex saw Ryan standing in the back of the ballroom, watching them with an expression of complete devastation and regret. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of congratulations and networking. People came up to Marcus and Alex constantly, offering praise for the award and for Marcus's speech. Several people who had been at that terrible networking event 2 years ago approached Alex privately to apologize for not speaking up when Ryan was spreading lies about him. I remember that night, one older businessman said quietly to Alex, "Ryan Brooks was drunk and saying terrible things about someone, but I didn't realize it was you. I should have said something. I should have challenged him. I'm sorry I stayed silent." "Thank you for saying that," Alex replied graciously. "It means a lot." As the evening wound down and guests began leaving, Ryan approached them one final time. He looked sober now, the alcohol from earlier apparently worn off, leaving only sorrow and regret in his eyes. "I'm not going to ask for forgiveness again," Ryan said quietly. "I don't deserve it, and I know that. But Alex, I want you to know that you were right about everything. I was cruel and cowardly, and I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. I hope those 3 children grow up happy and loved, and I hope they never know about the person who was too stupid to appreciate them before they were even born." Alex studied Ryan's face and saw genuine remorse there for the first time. "I hope you find happiness eventually, Ryan. Real happiness, not just success or money. And I hope you learn from your mistakes so you never hurt anyone else the way you hurt me." Ryan nodded slowly. "Thank you for that. I don't deserve your kindness, but thank you." He looked at Marcus. "Take care of them. You're a lucky man." "I know," Marcus replied simply, putting his arm around Alex's waist, "and I never forget it for a single day." Ryan walked away, disappearing into the crowd of departing guests. Alex watched him go and felt the final piece of his pain releasing. He'd confronted his past, spoken his truth, and reclaimed his power. Ryan no longer had any hold over him. That night, back in their hotel room, Alex and Marcus video called home to check on the triplets before their bedtime. The babysitter held up the phone as all 3 children crowded around, their faces lighting up when they saw their parents on the screen. "Papa, Daddy," they shouted in unison. "When you come home." "Tomorrow morning," Alex promised. "We'll be home for breakfast and we'll spend the whole day playing together. We missed you so much." "We missed you too," Lily said seriously. "I made you a painting." "I built a big tower," Max added proudly. "It's taller than me." "And I singed all the songs," Sophie announced. "All of them." After saying goodnight to their children and ending the call, Alex lay in Marcus's arms feeling complete peace. "Thank you," he said softly. "For what?" Marcus asked, running his fingers through Alex's hair. "For everything. For being there when I needed help, for falling in love with me despite all my baggage, for being an amazing father to the triplets. For standing beside me tonight and giving me the strength to face Ryan. For all of it." Marcus kissed the top of Alex's head. "You don't need to thank me for loving you. It's the easiest thing I've ever done. You and those 3 amazing kids are my whole world." 6 months later, Marcus officially adopted the triplets in a courthouse ceremony that brought everyone to tears. The judge asked each child individually if they wanted Marcus to be their legal father, and all 3 shouted, "Yes!" so loudly that the entire courtroom laughed. After the ceremony, as they stood on the courthouse steps with the new birth certificates that listed both Alex and Marcus as the triplets' fathers, Alex pulled out his phone. He took a photo of their family of 5, with Marcus holding Lily, Alex holding Sophie, and Max standing proudly between them, holding his new birth certificate like a trophy. On impulse, Alex sent the photo to Ryan with a simple message that said 5 words. "This is what love is." Ryan responded immediately with just 2 words. "I know." Alex deleted Ryan's number after that. That chapter of his life was finally, completely closed. Ryan's response showed he understood, he regretted, and he accepted that he'd lost his chance. That was enough closure for Alex. 1 year later, Alex's design agency had grown large enough that he was able to hire 10 full-time employees. He was offered a feature in a major business publication about successful entrepreneurs, and this time he agreed to share his full story. The article was titled, "From Betrayal to Triumph: How Alex Wellington Built an Empire from Heartbreak." In the article, Alex spoke honestly about Ryan's betrayal, about being publicly humiliated while pregnant, about fleeing to a new city with 3 babies on the way. He talked about Marcus's unexpected kindness, about their love story, about building a family and a business simultaneously. The article went viral, with thousands of people sharing their own stories of overcoming betrayal and rebuilding their lives. Several weeks after the article was published, Alex received a letter forwarded from the magazine. It was from Ryan, and Alex almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity got the better of him, and he opened it while sitting in his home office with Marcus reading beside him. The letter was short and handwritten. Alex, I read your article. I'm glad you shared your story, even though it shows me at my absolute worst. I deserve to be exposed for what I did to you. I wanted you to know that after our confrontation at the Technology Summit, I finally started therapy to work on my issues. I'm learning about my fear of vulnerability, my toxic need for control, my inability to handle situations that don't go according to my plans. I'm not writing this to ask for forgiveness or to get back into your life in any way. I'm writing because your article ended with advice about healing and moving forward, and I wanted you to know that your words helped me finally start that process. You said in the article that the best revenge is living well and being happy. You were right. Your happiness, your family, your success, that's the truest victory over the person who tried to break you. I hope you and your family continue to thrive. I hope those 3 children grow up knowing how lucky they are to have you as their papa and Marcus as their father. I'm working on becoming someone better, someone who might deserve happiness someday. But I know that happiness will never include you, and I've finally made peace with that. Thank you for teaching me, even in your absence, what real love and strength look like. Alex put down the letter and looked at Marcus, who had been reading over his shoulder. What do you think? Alex asked. Marcus considered for a moment. I think he's finally growing up. Too late for you, but maybe not too late for him to be better to whoever comes next. How do you feel about it? Relieved, Alex said honestly. Relieved that he's getting help. Relieved that he's accepted what happened. Relieved that this really is finally over. They heard footsteps thundering down the hallway, followed by 3 voices shouting, Papa, Daddy, look what we made. Lily, Max, and Sophie burst into the office, each holding artwork they'd created. Lily had painted a family portrait with 5 stick figures holding hands. Max had built a sculpture from blocks that was supposed to be their house. Sophie had covered a piece of paper with musical notes she'd drawn, even though she couldn't read music yet. These are beautiful, Alex said, scooping all 3 children into a group hug. You're all so talented and creative. Can we hang them on the fridge? Max asked hopefully. Absolutely, Marcus agreed, standing up and gathering the artwork. Let's go put them up right now. These masterpieces deserve to be displayed. As Alex watched Marcus lead their 3 chattering children toward the kitchen, he thought about the journey that had brought him here. The pain of betrayal, the fear of single parenthood, the struggle to survive, and then the unexpected gift of Marcus's love and support. Ryan had called him infertile and worthless. Ryan had tried to destroy his reputation and his self-worth. Ryan had walked away when Alex needed him most. But from those ashes, Alex had built something beautiful. He had 3 healthy, happy children who would grow up knowing they were loved and wanted. He had a husband who chose them every single day. He had a successful business that supported other creative people. He had friends like Jamie who had stood by him through everything. He had won, not because Ryan had lost, but because he'd refused to let Ryan's cruelty define his future. He'd won because he'd chosen to heal, to love again, to build rather than destroy. Alex picked up Ryan's letter and placed it in a folder marked Past, then closed the folder and put it away in a desk drawer. That's where it belonged now. In the past. Acknowledged but no longer active. Finished. He walked into the kitchen where Marcus was helping the children attach their artwork to the refrigerator with magnets. Sophie was singing her favorite song about rainbows. Max was explaining the engineering of his block sculpture. Lily was already planning her next painting. This was revenge, Alex thought. Not the cruel kind that hurt others, but the beautiful kind that came from living well. This family, this love, this joy, this was his victory. And it was sweeter than anything he could have imagined during those dark days 2 years ago when his world had fallen apart. Papa, come see, Lily called, waving him over. Your picture is in the middle because you're the heart of the family. Alex joined his family by the refrigerator, admiring their artwork and pulling all 3 children into another hug. Marcus wrapped his arms around all 4 of them, and they stood there in their kitchen, a family of 5, complete and happy and whole. Are you dealing with betrayal, heartbreak, or difficult life changes? Remember Alex's journey, the pain you're experiencing today doesn't define your tomorrow. You have the power to rebuild, to heal, and to create a beautiful future. Don't give up. Your happy ending is out there, waiting for you to be brave enough to reach for it. Share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about overcoming adversity and finding happiness against all odds. Your story isn't over yet. The best chapters might still be waiting to be written.